Welcome, everyone, to another fantastic episode of Double Booked. Tonight's guest is a literary shapeshifter, equally comfortable in the robes of a druid or a dusty Martian trench coat. He writes with the grace of a unicorn doing taxes and the emotional precision of a laser guided badger. Give it up for the sorcerer of stories, the Mars Wrangler of mayhem, Mike Mollman. How's it going, Mike?
Laser focused badger. Yes, that's me. I come out of my hole every once in a while, and I'm always grumpy. That sounds right.
How you doing, Mike? I'm so glad you're here, man. I'm so glad
Uh,
you're here. I've been looking forward to this all day.
Me too. It's I've this book has come out. I've got 6 reviews, and I every time I read something, I'm like, oh, good. They thought it was funny too. I thought it was just going to be me.
I get that. I get that. All right, we have some awesome people on here, and then I want to jump into all about you, Mike. So we have the great and powerful Tim McKay. How's it going, Tim? Trinity.
Trinity.
Appreciate you being here. The beast himself. How's it going, Ro? No, Mike didn't write that. I wrote that one. I was giggling before. I was like, Mike, I hope you like this. Cinna, the only person I know that reads 15 audiobooks a week. How's it going?
Yeah.
J.A., how's it going? Oh. Fina, how's it going, my friend? Appreciate you stopping by. And then the powerful Nicole. How's it going, buddy? Still at work. Well, I'll be quiet. So, Mike, again, I appreciate you coming on. I am super excited to have you. I have a lot of non-spoiler questions to go through. I really want to dive in deep into, I'm going to pick your brain a little bit later on in the conversation.
Okay.
But for those not familiar with your work, what's your elevator pitch for Proxima Station?
Good question. I don't have one. I just got hardbacks today. There we go. So Anthony is an everyman, basically. He's a student. He's getting his PhD in anthropology, and his major professor gets a letter saying it's a matter of national security that he gets his PhD and flies out to Area 51 immediately. And his professor's like, what the hell is an anthropological emergency? I've never heard of such a thing. And he's like, I have no idea. And then he gets whisked away to a space station where there's 5 alien races that are based off of my 5 dogs, so they're all goofy. Um, and yeah, he just sort of over and over. My whole thing is I wanted someone to be just like you feel like you're getting comfortable, all of a sudden you're overwhelmed. You're like, okay, I've dealt with that, and then overwhelmed, and just keep throwing him in the deep end over and over again, and hopefully he doesn't drown. He hasn't yet, but so yeah, that's the whole thing. Is it's quick, it's fun. You're not going to mistake it for something weighty like War and Peace, but if it makes you laugh every once in a while, that's really what I was going for.
I love it. We mentioned before we got on the live, I read it. I giggle a lot within it. It was so much fun. Highly recommend people going through and checking it out. Definitely if you're looking for a fun story that doesn't take itself too serious and has a lot of consistent humor that I really enjoy. It fit my humor button very well. Before we get started on this story specifically, what got you into writing? You write very well, and I'm just curious, what's your writing origin story?
I have an actual date. February 27th, 2017. The day before, my friend Angela, she's in juniors, whatever charitable organization, and she said, Mike, one of the women in the organization with me, her daughter's coming up to the local library to pitch her book and sell it. It's last minute. We're just afraid no one's going to show. I know you like to read. Would you like to come to see an author signing? And I was like, you know what? I have never met an author before in my life. I mean, I've read, that point, a couple thousand books now, a couple thousand books plus 12 because I don't read nearly as much anymore. But anyway, so I was like, yes, I will be there. So I show up. There's about 20, 25 people in the room, and I am the only male. The woman is writing a love triangle between three teenagers. I didn't ask anything about what the story was about. I just said, yes, I'll be there. There are mothers who are there with their like 12 and 14-year-old daughters. And, in my head, I'm like, they're all going, what is he doing? Why is he here? Is he looking at my daughter? So I'm like, and I was like, if I leave, Angela will never let me live this down. She's very loud. Anyway, I mean, everyone in the building will be late. I was like, I can't leave, and I sure don't want to be here. And so I was like, I can't sit in the back row because then again, they'll be going, is he staring at my daughter? So I was like, you know what? Got to own it. So I sat front and center right there in front of the author. She goes over her whole pitch. I mean, she's like 5 foot nothing. So I'm almost staring eye to eye with her as I'm sitting down. I'm like, can you see over me? Do I need to, and she finishes like, anybody have any questions? And, nobody knew she was coming or had read the book. So it's just crickets. And I'm like, how did you publish your book? How'd you get an agent? She goes, oh, I didn't get an agent. I self-published. I was like, how does one self-publish? How do you get on Amazon? And just the whole process of how to publish a book. I didn't care the thing about, her plot. But I just went through the whole thing. And, then afterwards I was like, I'm going to have to buy this stupid book. I can't not. So I bought the stupid book, and I was like, you know what? Because I'm me and I'm old and cantankerous, I was like, I'm going to go home. I'm going to read this thing, and I'm just going to make fun of her awful writing because it has to be awful. There's nothing redeeming about this story. And I started reading it. Since I didn't care about the story, I paid attention to the writing. I'm like, honestly, I can do this. She's writing clear. I understand everything that's happening. I'm like, that I could do this. And because of that, I started writing. And it's all because my colleague made me go to the most awkward author meet and greet ever.
I cannot agree more. That is the best author origin story. It's hilarious. It's so funny. What was the name of the book? Do you remember?
I don't remember. She's talking about herself, I know she was a mother of 5 kids. And I'm like, you have 5 kids and you wrote a book? I'm like, I'm doing this. Anybody can do that.
That's awesome. Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. Like, I could just picture you walking and going, oh man, I'm the only guy in here and there's a bunch of little kids. Like,
well, I mean, they had food at the back. So, I made a pass through and then I kind of looked up like, there's no other guy here. And I kind of saw Angela. I said, I can't leave. She saw me. I can't leave.
Oh my goodness. So you decided, hey, I'm going to go through and write. Was there any inspiration, like creative influence? It could be like authors, filmmakers, even music, anything that helped shape you as a writer.
Yeah. So the first book I actually wrote was Haley Traveler. It's the 5th one I published, but the first one I wrote. And I absolutely love Leviathan Wakes, the Expanse series, and I love The Martian. And I mean, I think I'm more of a sci-fi person than a fantasy, even though I've written more fantasy books. So I was like, you know what? If I try to write something in the same time period as The Martian, it's going to be a poor, pale reflection of that. Same with Leviathan Wakes. I'm like, well, Leviathan Wakes is 400 years in the future. Martian is current day. I'll shoot for 200 years in the future, and I'll put it on Mars. And, we'll just go from there. So that was kind of the whole that. And I read a story from people who were blogging because YouTube wasn't, vlogging was not a thing yet. And they all had something about how, people who are INTJ, the Myers-Briggs personality, they can't be heroes because, they're introverts and they're too judgmental and they think and they don't care, they can't. And I'm like, well, I'm INTJ. So I was like, damn it. My hero is going to be an introvert. And the 4 people they mention, they're like, they make great villains, though. Voldemort is INTJ. Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. Magneto. And my personal favorite, Hannibal freaking Lecter. And so I was like, I'm going to write a book, and the INTJ guy is going to be the hero. And so when I wrote this, which was the first thing I published, Rami is very much does not like people, wants to spend his time with animals away from everyone, which makes it very hard to write epic fantasy when your main character wants to avoid people like the plague. It's very hard. I do not recommend.
So there's 3 other people that you didn't mention that are INTJ. We have Gandalf.
Okay.
Batman is also INTJ, and I'm also INTJ as well.
Nice. So
yeah. I remember taking that and looking, and I'm like, oh, I'm a villain? Like, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, I'm the bad guy. Like, when did that happen? I was like, I guess that's my my personality trait. I align with them. Like, I guess I have watched those movies. I'm like, I get where they're coming from. I get it.
Yeah. When I took the test, I was like, wow, 90% introvert. I guess I'm like, this is my defining trait. Then I did the N, the T, and then I was like, wow, 95% judgmental. I guess that's my defining trait. So yeah. So every time I'm talking to you, whoever, and I'm judging you. I probably won't share that with you, but I'm definitely judging you. It's what I do.
Yeah. You can't turn it off. It is what it is. It is what it is. Yes, Trinity. Well, you need to definitely tell Angela. Thank you.
No, do not tell Angela that. She'll. Oh no, she has too much dirt on me already. You all can't know about who she is.
Right. Mike equals Hannibal Lecter. It's like it goes. Okay, got it. That explains it all. For the next one, for the next intro, I'm gonna make sure I write that down. I'll sprinkle in Hannibal Lecter into. Oh my goodness. So jumping back into Proxima Station, What was the original spark? Did the story start with a character, an image, or was it a question? What led you to this story?
So, what is it? Drew Hayes, I think, is the author's name. I saw an interview with him, and he's like, you know what? I have 3 different series, and I write book A or series A, then I go to B, then I go to C, then I go back to A, and this way I'm always fresh. And I'm like, well, I have 1 series, and I've written 4 books, and the last book took 15 months because I was burned out, and I just kept trying to push ahead, with a dull axe. And I was like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to have 3 different things, so therefore I dusted off Haley Traveler, published that. I was like, I need a 3rd series, so I started writing another fantasy series, and I wasn't happy with it. And I was pushing. I was like, you know what? I'm unhappy. Just stop. Set it aside. Come back to it later. I was like, I want to write something silly. And I thought about, I'm going to have my 5 dogs are all going to be alien species, and all the alien traits are going to come from idiosyncrasies that my dogs had. So, like, I don't guess it's a spoiler. Shadow, the only dog I have left, he's killed, I don't know, 40 possums in his life. And I tell people that I was literally sleeping at 2 a.m. and he comes up and he licks my face, and I wake up and I'm like, that's dead possum breath. Because I've experienced it so much, it's from a deep sleep. I'm like, that's dead possum breath. Where's the dead possum? And I just hit, and so that I was like, okay, that's going in the story. And I think about, do I have them killing rodents on the space station? Like, nah, no, but yes, all the stuff there is just, I'm like, it's that came from my dogs. I'm like, these are going to be the racial characteristics of all of them. And yeah, so I was like, it's going to be light, it's going to be fun. Plus, EL, he will tell the story that his To Catch a Witch, he wrote in like 22 days, so he could enter it into Sphinx competition last year, and it ended up being a finalist. So I was like, you know what? I want to write something short for that. I mean, I got booted out of Spiffbo, early. I got booted out of the Space Bow early. I'm like, I haven't been in that one to be kicked out early. I should write something for that. So I got this ready in time. It's going in there. Blink and you'll miss it. It'll get kicked out soon. But yeah, again, it was more just, it was a lot of fun to write. I literally wrote this between Haley 2, which was supposed to be coming out now. I wrote it, rewrote it, sent out to beta readers. I said, okay, I got a month. Twiddling my thumbs while I wait for it to get feedback. What do I do? So I wrote Proxima Station in that month. and I rewrote it, and I was like, this is really good. This is ready to go to beta readers. So I had to go to my newsletter and be like, hey guys, I know the people are beta reading Haley too, but I need more for a different one. And so I got that back, and I got the beta readers from both. I'm like, Haley 2 is good. It's not just a little polishing up, and I can publish. I'm like, but Proxima is much closer, and I want to get that out first. So I got Proxima out. Haley 2 is coming, but as I'm waiting for Proxima to launch, I start writing Proxima 2, and I've written 7 of 10 chapters.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, this could possibly come out this year too. So I'll tell everybody the title is Jungle Planet. Good old Anthony gets to go down to Proxima Centauri B, and things go poorly because I'm writing it.
I love it. That's awesome, man. So potentially 3 books this year?
Yep.
That's impressive.
And the third book is going to be Area 51 Audit. So my little slug creature, the one based on my basset hound, who's is passionate about paperwork, he is going to go audit Area 51. So
wow.
that is the third one.
That's exciting. That one's going to be hilarious. I can't wait. When it comes to your writing, are you someone who outlines every beat of a story, or do you prefer to discover things along the way?
When I started, I very much would outline. I'd have like 5 to 8 pages of notes before I would start. And then I'd start writing in, like Grommy, for instance, I'd be like, okay, we got to go to this throne room, get this king mad. And he's like, nah, I'd rather talk to squirrels and turn into owls in the forest. And I'm like, but war, battles. And he's no, not me. So, the characters start making decisions, and so I got less and less. Now I call them signposts. I want like 5 to 7 signposts, and like these are things that are going to happen. Here's the order in which they happen, and then I will start writing to the first signpost. And then when I get there, I'll be okay. Now I have to know where I'm writing toward, otherwise it's a god awful mess. So I have to know where I'm writing toward, and I always know the ending before I write the book. I always know how it's going to end. But basically, I'm like, okay, signpost 1 is this. I have to write to it. It's going to take as long as it takes. And then I discover things along the way. In about chapter 17, I'm like, if in chapter 3 I'd said this instead of that, it would really be dramatic here. Okay, post-it note, change chapter 3 later, and go on. But yeah, it's now, like I said, it's 5 to 7 signposts, and then you kind of figure it out from there.
Awesome. All right, before we jump into the next one, we have a legend that just jumped on. We have Marky Mark.
Yes, we do.
And the Funky Bunch showed up. How's it going, Mark? How's it going, buddy?
So, let me just tell Mark that the hardbacks just came in since you were late. So I now have the books to send you. So they will be sent out this week to you.
Read it. It's fantastic. It's so much fun. So it's crazy. You're going through and could potentially have 3 books coming out this year. You have a full-time job, and you have other hobbies and other things you do. How do you have time to go through and do all this? When do you have time?
I don't have a life. I am fortunate that where I'm at now with my job, I make a couple formulations, and my boss doesn't really know what that means. So I heat the stuff up, I mix them together, I use my stick blender to homogenize. Like, it has to cool down now, which will take about 3 to 4 hours. So I turn the heat off and I walk away, and I have 3 to 4 hours of free time. She doesn't know this, so as long as I stay in the lab area, I can go talk to people. I can take notes on what I'm going to write tonight. So it's a comfy job. It's a very comfy job. But I probably spend 40 hours a week between writing and marketing and the YouTube show. So yeah, I basically have 2 full-time jobs. One I try much harder than the other, but the first one gives me money. The second one takes it away. So
I get that. So when you're not writing or editing or doing the YouTube channel, Bald and Balding, what do you do to recharge? You go through and recharge your battery?
Sleep. I don't know. Ro makes fun of me all the time. They're like, "Hey, have you seen this movie? No. Have you seen this TV show? No." Ro is always talking about music, and I'm like, I don't listen to music. I stopped in the '90s. You know, so I don't know. There's not a whole lot else. I was really big for a while. I would plan vacations that I would never take. But if you want like a 12-day vacation to Peru, I have it. I have it set up for you. I have all the things to see. And I mean, I have all these random things to the point where one guy was like, "Man, they're sending me to Guatemala." I'm like, "Oh, are you going to go to Antigua? Do you have time to go to?" He's like, "Who is this? No one knows anything about." I'm like, "I do. I have a itinerary." He's like, "You don't." I'm like, "When we get back from lunch, I'll email it to you." And he's like, "Holy hell, he has an itinerary to Guatemala." So yeah,
Funny. So is that
I
like
do.
your secret obsession that people don't know about, that you just like planning vacations you don't take?
Oh, I plan on taking them, and then I'm
Oh,
like,
you do plan on
or
taking them. Okay.
and then I look at like, okay, what's the flight going to be? And I'm like, I'm cheap, and I'm like, oh, that's way too much money. No, I'll just get a YouTube video and watch something about Machu Picchu or what have you.
I
So
hear you.
yeah.
So are there any surprising hobbies or obsessions that you have that people don't know about?
Hobbies or obsessions?
Yeah,
Not
could be anything.
not really. I mean, between writing and working, I mean, I'm a sports fan, college sports fan, so I watch college sports when they're on, but otherwise, I don't turn my TV on usually. Um, I I don't know. I'm boring. White bread is more exciting.
Oh my goodness. It's- oh my goodness, that's so funny. Yeah, Mike does like doing
Oh
research,
yes.
and then trying lipstick.
Oh, absolutely.
That's his
Yeah.
other. That's his other hobby. Yes, I would think research is doing is a good hobby. You know.
So my dream vacation is I want to go to England, and all the places in Becoming a Druid are actual places, and then I just gave them Proto-Celtic names because I like doing research. So I would like to actually be there and be like, this is where Grommy had this duel. This is where, because they're all actual places, like Stonehenge becomes Big White Stone Circle in Proto Celtic, Men Merv Cove Kelv. Um, so I just rename all these things. Like the town of Old Sarum is, I'm like, well, no, when I'm writing it, it's just Sarum. It's not Old Sarum yet. So, but yeah, everything in there is an actual city or an actual place, and I did the research to see it, and I'm like, I want to go there. The itinerary people would be like, what the hell is this guy doing? Where is he going? He's like, he wants to go to Dartmoor. Why? It's cold up there. But yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to go through the steps of Grommy
That's
and
cool.
see how close I was to when I was like, I don't know, we're going to guess. So
That's hilarious. We have another good friend. How's it going, my brother? I appreciate you stopping by. Love you, buddy. Um, no, so what's funny is I do the same research stuff at work. Like I go through and do research to do team building activities, and I go through and going, I really want to go to Arizona. So I think the team building exercise we're going to do trivia of Arizona, so I can get paid to do research about where I want to go on vacation. So like in October, I'm going to Arizona, and so
nice.
but the last month's engagement thing we did with the team, I was like, it was all just random facts about Arizona, and then they were like, you're doing another trip, aren't you? I'm like, shh, just it's a team building exercise. It's a team building exercise.
Oh, actually, I do have an obsession. I
Oh,
just thought of it.
all right.
So I have now traveled to see three separate solar eclipses.
Oh, that's cool.
And the last one I saw was in New Mexico, and let me tell you, New Mexico is low key awesome. I mean, everyone knows Arizona because of Grand Canyon. New Mexico
Mhm.
is amazing, and the one thing that I won't get over, I told a couple people who lived in New Mexico, and they're like, "Yeah, that's normal." But I was driving on a major road, not an interstate, but road, and I drove for almost 20 minutes before I saw another human. No cars passed me. I just drive, and I'm going like 80 because there's no one on this road, and I'm just driving. I'm like, there's not a soul here. God, if I wreck, how long before someone comes around and finds me? And told people that's like, oh yeah, well that's nothing unusual. And I'm like, I'm from Virginia. I can't go a minute. And if I'm up at 5:30 in the morning, there's other people on the road. Um, so yeah, that was kind of the thing that just sort of threw me for. Ugh.
Oh, I enjoy it, man. I mentioned to you before we got on that I just got back from a hiking trip, and that's what it was. We were up in the mountains, and I didn't see for hours. We were driving through the mountains, and I didn't see anybody, and it was
Oh wow.
fantastic. It was so nice. It was beautiful. I was like, this is nice scenery. I also had to go 20 miles an hour because it's
Yeah.
like I look over and I'm like, you fall off the mountain. I'm like, this is not terrifying. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I like that stuff. So I don't know. I'll add New Mexico to my bucket list of places to go to.
And when I went there, and I swear it was only because it was centrally located, but I stayed in Roswell,
Nice.
and I was like, okay, I guess. I mean, I went to, oh, what is it, Carlsbad Cavern, which that is, oh my God, that's amazing. I have a picture where I'm at like the bottom. It took, I I don't know how long, like it took 40 minutes to walk down to the bottom, and I took a picture, and I'm like, there are 11 people in this picture, and people are like, I see one. I'm like, well, over here. I mean, people are just so tiny in the picture. It's so huge. It boggles the mind. White Sands National Park. I went there. Um, they keep telling you can do the little sledding down the hills in the sand. What they don't tell you is if you're 250 pounds and you try it, you just sink in the sand and you don't really go down. But I tried. Uh, but yeah, there's just, I mean, all kinds of stuff to do. Plus, I saw the eclipse, so that was cool too.
So you said you've seen three eclipses. Where were the other ones? So you went to New Mexico. Where was some of the other spots you went to?
So I went right on the Kentucky Tennessee border to see the one in 2017, and then I went to um, oh shoot, just across the river from Kentucky to Indiana, at an Indian Mound State Park, to see the one that was just, well, let's see, 2017, 2021, 2022, something like that. Um, and then New Mexico was an annular eclipse, so I was like, well, I got to see one of those. So the moon was too far away to actually cover up the entire sun, so you had a ring of orange with all the black of the moon in between. So I was like, does that count as an eclipse? I don't know. I have to see one. So
Senna wants to know if you've seen the Very Big Array when you
I
went to.
I I was so wanted to, but it was like going to be a 6 hour drive. I was like, yeah, that's my entire day, and I'm only here for 4 days. So I did not. That is on my list. I want to see the Very Big Array very much. Um, so I have to go again, and I'll probably just after I see it, just keep driving, go into Arizona. So I want to see Meteor Crater, and I want to see the Painted Desert and
Mhm.
Petrified Forest, and yeah, I have a list for Arizona too. Um, so
Perfect. All right. So I want to lean in now a little bit to your creative process. So you went through and talked about you spend a few hours a day at work going through and thinking through what you want to write about, and then you come home and do your magic. How does that look like? So what is your typical? So you just got home. What does your typical writing time look like for you?
So I take these out that I write to myself at work, my post-it notes. I have about 150 of these. I try to keep them organized by a book because you just get a wild thought like, oh, that'd be cool for Haley 4. I should definitely include, and so you just okay, put it there. Hopefully you find it when you're writing Haley 4, and you can incorporate it. So this is not the best system, but when I'm at work, I have the post-it note. I write it down, keep them, then I sort them out later. Um, so basically, before I start, like I said, I have to know what the ending is. So I have to know, what is the problem? Because if you have an ending, you have to know,
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, who's going to do this? And then I kind of I started for like Proxima Station. I was like, I like a little alliteration. So I was like, Anthony the anthropologist. That is my main character. I don't know anything else about him, but Anthony the anthropologist. And then when I started writing, I was like, figured I'd tuck her eyes and put some people in here. And one woman who I worked at with her grandson, she brought in a couple times when he's a teenager. And she's like, Mike, can you take him in the lab or something so he's just not sitting here bothering people? I'm like, yeah, come on in. So she didn't know, but I was like, here, you're going to make a shampoo. You're going to make a conditioner. And they're like, what? Really? I'm like, yeah, just don't tell everyone. We'll put it in my notebook. I'll take credit for it, but you're going to do it right now. So he thought it was the greatest thing ever, and his name was Anthony. So I contacted the friend Deb. I was like, hey, Deb, what's Anthony doing now? She's like, well, he's in New Mexico. He's in the Air Force. He's out. I'm like, huh, okay, yeah, I was going to go to Area 51. So this works. I was like, okay, does he have any pictures of him in the dress, dark blue pants, light blue shirt? She's like, I don't know. I was like, can you see? I'm going to make him the main character in the story. So
That-
I mean, I haven't talked to him in 10 years. Last time I talked to him, I think he's 16. So, and I'm just like, hey, putting you in a book. You're the main character. Um, I'm not going to kill anyone. It's kind of cozy. So, other than public humiliation, that's about the worst that's going to happen. So
that is too cool. That is too cool. I've only read the one book. I do plan on reading the other ones. Is humor something you like to sprinkle into all your books, or is that original just for Proxima Station?
no, it was dialed up for Proxima Station, and Rose here, so I have to keep showing my book, so he'll tell me I do it too often. So this Proxima Station, I was like, you know what, I'm really going to go for trying to be funny this time, so I kind of ramped it up. Becoming a druid, there's some funny parts, and then there's the body count is kind of high in becoming a druid too. So sometimes it's not funny, but sometimes you're just kind of like, I can't believe this is going to happen. It's just sort of stuff. Haley Traveler is probably the darkest thing I've ever written, but there's also some humorous parts there. And no one mentioned chapter 28 or 18 in the comments.
Anyone? Yeah, no.
So,
oh, chapter 8. That's the next book I want to go through and read of yours. Right there. She's right there waiting on me. So she's going to be chapter 18 and 19. 18 and 19.
Yeah, so it's the cringiest thing I've ever written. And I ended up, yes, repeating the chapter. So it's word for word exactly the same, except for one says chapter 18 and one says chapter 19. And I will never write anything that cringy again as long as I live. So, of course, that is the chapter that got duplicated. So, yeah.
So funny. So funny. We're going to do a live reading at the end. So.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding.
No, Dave Lawson, he started doing that once. He was reading from it like I'll start reading. I have the book, and I'm like, yep, Dave's gone. Don't know what happened to him.
Oh man, yeah. I think we definitely need to get an audiobook narrated to narrate just that 2 chapters. I think it'll be fun.
So I had someone lined up to narrate Haley Traveler, and then he contacts like, Mike, I'm not going to be able to do this because there's just there are a couple things that I just object to. I'm like, it's chapter 18, isn't it? He goes, yes, that and this. I was like, oh, really? That other one bothered? Okay, well, I'm like, yeah, I if it was going to be something, that would be it. So I was like, okay, I understand. So now I have to go look again for a new narrator. But I'm thinking I'm actually going to try to get Proxima Station narrated because it's shorter, cheaper. And there's a couple people I have in mind who I think would just knock it out of the park if I can get them to narrate. So, yeah, hopefully by the end of the year, Proxima Station's on audiobook, which will keep Cena happy with me.
Mm-hmm. She'll be super excited. Yeah, you need someone that can do multiple accents for the different alien creatures. I feel like is needed in there.
So I'm looking at Andy Witham, who's Blackjack, and then the Rooker Flynn series.
Mm-hmm.
Who, I mean, just the enthusiasm with which he reads. I mean, I think I'm like, make up the voices. You got 5 alien. It's supposed to be silly. I think he would. Oh my God, he is like my dream narrator, and I've talked to him about it. He's like, but if I do it, I'm losing my writing time. And I'm like, this is why I'll pay you to do it. So I sent it to him. He's supposed to read it and get back to me. And if he passes, then Andrew Meredith also. I mean, I loved his Thrice, his book that he wrote. He has a 6-year-old in there, and he sounds like a 6-year-old when he narrates it. So I'm like, I have no doubt he can do this as well. So hopefully, I get one of those two to narrate my book. Otherwise, I have to go.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Andrew. He did Tori's book. He did Tori's book.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Nice.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, I should get one of those two hopefully to do it, and I will. I just can't wait. When I had Becoming a Druid, a friend of mine, J.R. White, he had done an audiobook, and I'm like, how do you even do that? I know nothing about this. You know, it was only a couple years ago, and I was thrilled to meet an author. Now I am one. You know, and he's like, Mike, I listened to over 30. And when I finally heard the guy, and that was the voice that I heard in my head when I was writing it, he goes, I knew that was my narrator. I said, please just let me afford him. And so when I did that for this one, this guy is actually, James Munier is actually a actor in England. He's been in 30 some odd plays and 4 or 5 TV shows. And apparently he's an elf in season 2 of Rings of Power for one show. So now I have to go watch Rings of Power season 2 so I can see my narrator. I'm guessing he gets killed since he's only in one episode. He's the new Sean Bean.
I think Sean Bean's not died in only 10% of his movies he's in.
Yeah. So, and actually, James Munier was in Masters of the Air, which is the Steven Spielberg, Tom, what's his name, Hanks, the Air Force. You know, they did Band of Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
For the Army, and now they did one for the Air Force, which was Masters of the Air, and he's in that for 3 episodes. So I'm guessing since he's a fighter pilot, he probably got shot down in the 3rd episode he was in. So, but I don't have Apple, so I haven't seen that. So
that's too cool. We have another legend that jumped in. My one day I'm going to be as an awesome interviewer and interviewing the best of the best one day. But yes, you got to watch out for the voices in your head. Yeah, I just let them keep talking, honestly.
Well, that's when for About the Author it says Mike lives in Virginia with his 2 dogs and the many voices in his head. So that's my About the Author at the end of the book. So yeah.
When it comes to your writing, I'm always curious about this. Definitely for those that do humor within their stories, but can also have genuine emotion. How do you go through and approach those switching tones within your stories?
I mean, it's kind of organic. I mean, it helps that, you know, Grami's INTJ and I am INTJ, and, you know, so there's, you're serious, and then once that's over, you're like, well, that could have gone better. I have a rock in my shoe, you know, and just something stupid like that, and just sort of like, and like, yeah, we're going to leave that. So I don't know. You just kind of, you know, when you're in the thick of it, you're in the thick of it. I have one. It's a 3-chapter sequence of a battle that they have that they're, you know, fighting, and they're basically like, let's not die until it's night, and then we'll fly away as birds, and hopefully we don't hit something, because that's our only out here. And so it's 3 chapters long, and it's very serious, very serious. And then as soon as it's over, you know, somebody's saying something like, well, you know, it could have been worse. I could have slipped and fell into pig crap. So, you know, you just kind of always, you know, lighten the mood, which is what I normally do anyway. Whenever there's something serious, I try to tell a joke, and then I'm like, oh, that's awkward. I probably shouldn't have done that. But, you know, that's just me.
So when you're going through and writing, when you're in I want to be a little bit goofy mindset, or I want to be more serious, when you're writing, do you go through and jump around different chapters going, I want to write this scene? Or do you go, hey, I got to write chronologically from beginning to end when you're going through?
No, the first way would probably be better. So what I have found is that I write chronologically, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to write this scene. And I'm like, oh, in this next scene, I can't, but I have to get there and so I have just the scantest of stuff, and then to write the scene I want, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't even make sense. I really have to flesh this out. But the first draft is here are all the things I want to write, and now I have to connect them, with a thread maybe, and then I have to go back and be like, okay, I gotta give more. Like they just traveled 100 miles. I should probably mention something. Did it rain? Maybe I should mention the weather, the road, something. So I always write, the exciting parts, and then I go back like, okay, yeah, I totally gave this short shrift. So when I get it, actually, Monroe is my editor. When he gets it, he's always like, it'd be great here? An adjective, maybe 4, maybe 100 in the whole book, And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. But you can definitely tell what I wanted to write, and then okay, I have to, fill in the cracks here. So, and then I have to get it back and be like, now I have to do the work part of actually, trying to make it coherent.
Oh, so funny. That's Cena, you kill me. You're so funny. That's why she listens to audiobooks. Those voices don't stop. Oh my goodness. So, oh man, when you're sitting down and writing, are you that kind of person who writes that blares music to get into the zone, or are
Oh God.
you silence like a monk? Like I need everything dead silent and just me and my thoughts when I'm going through and writing.
So generally silence. If I'm writing like a battle scene, there's actually I forget what the website is. I haven't, but you can actually like have background noise, and you can have like swords clanking, or you can have a thunderstorm. And so like if I want to get myself in the mood, like okay, this is what's happening. Okay, there's a thunderstorm. Yes, there's actually the moaning from zombie apocalypse is good. I use that a lot, even though there aren't zombies in anything. Just the whole like a battlefield. There's going to be people. So and you just kind of like click. Okay, so now this will get me in the mood. Now I can write, but no words. Never ever any words. Because as soon as I get that, I'll be like, oh yeah, I like this song, and I'm singing along, and I'm like, where did that half an hour go? So
that I can honestly say that's the first I've heard that you listen to just zombie moaning sounds when you're going through and writing. That's so funny.
There's a website. It has all sorts of different things you can click, like alien invasion, or zombies, or thunderstorm, or whatever, and you can just check all the boxes like wind, rain, ocean. So you can do whatever you want as ambiance as a background noise. And so I just when I'm like, okay, we'll do that. We'll set this up. Now I'm good. Then I tend to go and clean out my refrigerator or cut the grass or something else other than write, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to write. Let me go do something else. So this is the only way my house gets clean is when I'm supposed to be writing, I clean first. And then when I'm done with everything and did my laundry and cut the grass and cooked, then I'm like, okay, now I have nothing else to do. I have to write. And then I go to bed early. So
love it. Love it. Hey Lucas, how's it going, buddy? Appreciate you stopping by. Oh my goodness. Yeah, people want to know your website. They want to know this weird noise website you listen to. So they need to know.
I will have to find it, but I will post it in Twitter, if nothing else.
Oh my goodness. So I'm curious, before we jump into specifics, a little bit more details about this book. What's been the most challenging part about bringing all these stories to life for you, and what's been the most rewarding?
Well, I will tell you the most rewarding. Ben Kahn, book reviews with Bengus. He's talking to someone else, and I was like on a live stream, and I was just in the peanut gallery, so he didn't even know I was there, which means more when they compliment your book and they don't even know you're present. He's like, yeah, with Mike's books, I don't even try to guess what's going to happen next because I never know. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what you could say that would make me happier than my book is not boring. So that is, and I told him, it's like, I kind of like, it's kind of going down this path. It's kind of well trod. I don't like that. So I kind of lean into it, like the character will think this is obviously what's going to happen, and I know very much that here in another page, out of left field, something's coming to hit you upside the head. So I'll lean into like everyone thinks you're going that way, and then whap, and then he does it. So I'm giving away my tricks now. So when you're like, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen next, no, you don't. So you're like, what's he going to do now?
So jumping into a little bit about the book, and for anyone that everything I'm going to ask is non-spoiler within this conversation. But I'm really curious about Anthony. You mentioned him a little bit and kind of how you got the name Anthony, but I'm
Yep.
really Anthony doesn't feel, or at least to me, doesn't feel like your typical sci-fi protagonist. He's insecure, he's sarcastic, he's often overwhelmed, and I want to know what drew you to this kind of voice for this type of story.
Well, if you read my other books, you'll find out that Grami uh, is doesn't like people, often overwhelmed, makes poor choices, and Chris is one I feel bad for. Thank God he's not real because he would shoot me. What I make him go through. Um, so I don't want. I've read enough. The hero saves the day all the time. Blah blah blah. I mean, I've read stories where all the sidekicks are only there to cause trouble for the hero to. I'm like, that's boring to me. I don't want to write that again. There's enough of those books. So I try to take a character. I'm like, okay, he has to be different. I will tell you the best book I wrote is the second book, Sins and Sorrows. It's also my lowest rated, and that's when for me at the time, I was like, I'm going to have a female protagonist. Oh my god, how can I even do that? I'm going to alienate 60% of the reading audience. But just for me doing things that I'd never even thought of, I have a villain protagonist in there, which I didn't even know that was a thing until after I wrote it and someone mentioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I did. Knew it all along. But so I mean, you kind of what the tropes are, and you got to subvert them a little bit, and that's kind of what I try to do. And just the humor comes through because I always write first person present tense, so I'm always inside their head. And so when they start talking to themselves, I'm like, well, this is what I would say in this instant. I will tell you one thing that someone told me that has been a game changer for me is that she said when she writes that her characters will start going back and forth and just you're lighting into each other and going, and she's like, this has gone on for 4 pages. This is never going to make it in the book, but you two get it out of your, and it just helps you to figure out who they are. And then you go like, okay, I can't have 4 pages of back and forth, fetching at each other. So let's, distill this down. But in the first draft, absolutely have it so that you figure out who your characters are, what the relationships are to each other, and then know that it's all going to get cut, or almost all of it is, and you'll find out a different way to they'll trip them instead of having a 4 page conversation, and then you'll see, okay, this is how they interact with each other. But I mean, when you're first draft, you're trying to figure out relationships, so leave it in, and then laugh at it and be like, yeah, no one's ever going to see this because I can't have an entire chapter of dialogue. Um, but yeah, that's the biggest thing for me is leave it in, figure out who your people are, then you can distill it down next time through and be ruthless with your. I think the biggest thing for people who write dialogue is they're like they want to keep it all, and I'm like, no, you cannot get rid of 80% of it, but keep what distill it down, say what you need to say, and then move on, and have something hit them upside the head.
I I feel like people are disagreeing. Tolkien can spend 3 pages on trees, so honestly, you can do whatever you want. Oh my goodness. So you mentioned earlier that all the alien races are based off your dogs. I'm
Yep.
curious on an extra layer below that. So their personality is based off the dogs. When you were going through and mapping out the societal norms, the histories of these different races, did you plan those out, or was it just like, hey, let's go through and just figure this out as we're going along? How these
Um, that is still being figured out um, as we go. So uh, I don't want to get too spoilery, but book one is basically he meets all 5 alien races. And at the end, they're like, well, we'll keep your secret, but you have to go on a one-on-one mission with each one of us. And so books 2 through 6 are going to be his one-on-one with each of the different alien races, so I can really nail down them. Because when they're all together, the other thing is this is very easy to write because I'm like, in this situation, well, Grendel would be in charge. She'd throw people against the wall if they started disagreeing with her. Buddy would just, he would just yap yap and run in circles. Crichton is a basset hound. He just bark really loud and try to be, you know, I'm like, I know exactly what they will do. So I'm like, huh, in this condition, in this situation, this is, so it it's the easiest thing I've ever had to write because I know the characters. I know them backwards and forwards. Um, it's kind of fun when I'm like, huh, okay, they're this place. I haven't really thought about what would they do if they were all in this room together, and you just kind of, well, this would happen, this would happen. Shadow and Calliope were always fighting one another, so therefore the races are kind of always having a spat. Always going after. I'm like, I just know, I know what they're going to do, and it's kind of fun. Just it's kind of like when people on our show when we put them in the bald dome with their character. You know your character. What would your character do? It's kind of fun. Just okay, totally out of context. So that's what this whole series is for me. Is I'm just going to the point where the first time I wrote it, people were like, Mike, there's no plot. And I'm like, okay, there probably needs to be a plot. After all the grief I give Abercrombie for writing a whole trilogy with not a single plot to be seen anywhere, I can't write a book without a plot. I will never hear the end of it. So there's a plot there. And Tim, I will not write 500 pages, maybe the whole series. But
so, were there any jokes or scenes that you loved that didn't make the final cut within the book?
No. If I loved it, it's going to make it. I will tell you for becoming a druid, the luckiest thing I ever did is he's traveling along and he's like, huh. I was like, something has to happen. It's boring. He's just walking down a path. And so there's a whole beech tree, only beech trees, they're white bark or whatever, and just beech after one after another, whole. And he's just like, this just feels ominous. I don't know what that is. Why is there only one tree in the forest? And he just goes on. And I basically did that just to, it's like, I'm bored. I have to make something interesting. And then I came back and lo and behold, I'm like, oh, well, they live there. They live in the beech grove. And I totally did not know that when I did. I just threw that into, so I'm like, so people don't get bored and throw my book away. I'll just add a little wrinkle. Had no plans for it whatsoever. And 2 books later, I'm like, oh my god, I can totally use that. Thank God I wrote that down. I just dumb luck. So I try to leave. I call them nubs. Like, oh, I noticed this odd thing, and go on about your way. And then some of them I'll use, some of them I won't. But I never know ahead of time which ones will be. So but yeah, you just kind of give yourself a break to, well, I can go back and and use this or that. So
do you have a message or a feeling that you hope readers walk away after finishing this book?
I hope they see it as being as goofy as I do. I wanted to write something kind of humorous, and they always say comedy, that's hard. So it's more situational. I'm not telling jokes because they would just be dad jokes, and puns, and we already have Joe Byrne for that, so we don't need another. But so it's more situational humor. Book 2, there's this next scene I'm going to write tonight. Can't wait for it. That'll be the scene that everyone will be talking about in book 2. And yeah, it just, I'm like, I was like, wow, that would be really inconvenient if it happened to me. Yes, that must be in the story. And that's kind of how it goes. I'm like, what could make it worse? And when I go back for my second draft, I'm like, this is not nearly bad enough. I need to, let's go over. So.
Love it. Love it. Cannot wait to see what kind of chaos is going to come out. I love it. Is there a part of Proxima Station that you're the most proud of? Is it a character? Is it a plot point? Is it a specific joke? Is there anything within this book that you're the most proud
of? What surprised me the most is that Anthony actually was a real character, because when I wrote this, I'm like, yeah, I want the 5 aliens are going to be my 5 dogs. That's the whole story. And then I tell it from Anthony's point of view, and I mean, he really I'm like, wow, he's like a real character. I should probably mention him when I talk to people about the book, since he's the main character. maybe stop talking about, well, these 5 alien races that you'll meet are my dogs. I'm like, but just I liked I'm my first book, Becoming a Druid, was he gets into a fight with his mentor, in the second page of the book, because it's first chapter. You have to have drama, you have to have action, and actually in Haley Traveler, I had someone nearly died in space, and I was like, you know what, I want to have something that'll pull the reader's attention, but not life threatening. So that's why he gets in there with a letter like, "There's a national emergency. They need an anthropologist. What the hell is this?" And he's like, I don't know. I couldn't even get, so just the beginning, just setting it. So, because I think it was interesting, but it wasn't, no one had a gun or a weapon of any kind. No threats were made. Just like, okay, I have to know more. So I really like my intro. And then, like I said, once I got to the space station, that just wrote itself. Um,
Perfect. All right, we are going to do what I like to call the lightning round, Mike.
okay.
So I'm going to ask you 9 or 10 questions. I want no thinking. No
Okay.
thinking. First thing that comes to your head. All right? You ready?
Okay.
All right. Druid or Martian?
Druid.
Plot twist or slow burn?
Plot twist.
What was the last book that blew your mind?
Vermilion. Oh God, what is it? It's by Adam Fernandez, and I said Adam, not Alex. So I'm Vermilion Flame. Vermilion Flame. Yes. Space opera.
Okay. Favorite fantasy book that everyone sleeps on?
The first book of Swords.
All right.
It's old. No one knows it anymore because it was. I was a teenager when it came out.
All right. One word to describe Proxima Station.
Goofy.
Paperback, hardback, or digital?
Audiobook. Or digital if I have to.
All right. What is your favorite trope?
Reluctant hero.
Least favorite trope?
Enemies to lovers, or any romantasy trope.
I hear you. I hear you. That's probably my top 2 of least favorite trope. Favorite villain of all time, and it does not have to be from a book.
Favorite villain. I mean, I would argue the Grinch is actually a victim in that whole story, but I mean, he just wants to sit alone with his dog and quiet, and the neighbors won't shut up. So I'd go with the Grinch. I mean, he's very much misunderstood.
I hear you. All right. First thing you would do if you were invited aboard Proxima Station?
Oh God. I would go to I forget what I end up calling it, the little committee where he has one of all 5 aliens. I would want to meet the aliens and just poke and prod and ask inappropriate questions, and and ask them why they're sniffing my butt. That sort of thing.
Perfect. All right. One book you wish you'd written?
One book that I've written. Oh, you know what? Envoys of War. By Dave Lawson.
It's a good one.
Corden is an awesome character. Mm-hmm. One of my favorites all time. And I told Dave that. He goes, yeah, a lot of people, you either love him or most people hate him. I'm like, no, he's the whole reason why I love that book.
Mm-hmm. He was fun. I really enjoyed his character. All right, this is the last one. This was my favorite one. I ask every author this question because I find it hysterical. If Proxima Station could have a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, God. Proxima Station theme song. We Are Family.
Nice. Nice. All right. Thank you, Mike. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for being okay with doing my lightning round.
Oh, no worries.
Find those too much fun. Crack myself up. But yeah, I got some good book recommendations. Vermilla Flame, I've not heard of that. I'm going to go through and check that one out immediately once we get off. But jumping back into your book, I'm always curious. if you could see this book specifically adapted, what would be your dream medium? Would it be films, a TV series, a graphic novel? What would you see? What would you prefer?
So I went to an author convention with a guy who I forget what the name of the movie. It's a Clint Eastwood movie from '73. He wrote the book. They made it into a movie. He's like, so just so you know, if this ever happens to you, what is published will remind you vaguely of your story, but it will not be your story. So know that up front. So not everybody has J.K. Rowling money to know you must stick to the book exactly. Um, so just know that. So I would probably say, I mean, I like a TV series better than a movie because you have more time to explore the nooks and crannies versus movies are just they're over too quick. So I would say probably TV. I hate Disney, so I'd say Netflix. Netflix is who I want. I don't like Apple products either because judgmental Mike. So it'd have to be Netflix.
Okay. Now, who would play Anthony? You could pick anyone. Who in your mind would be Anthony?
I mean, Anthony's pretty much an everyman. I mean, there's nothing, maybe back when I watched movies, I would say James Franco. Now he's probably, like 45 or something, but like a 20s James Franco sort of actor. I mean, nothing, I mean, he would not stand out. He would just somebody who knows how to act. I don't care. They don't have to be a heartthrob because that's not, who he is. He's wandering around trying not to bump into people. Um, so yeah.
There was an actor. Oh man, I cannot find. I'll message you. It was a guy who I was thinking who popped up. I cannot remember his name. Who I think would play Anthony very well. Average looking guy, very funny, comes off very dry. He's in a show now where he's an alien that he just walks around the earth as a doctor. If anyone knows what I'm
Actually,
talking about.
the main character from Fantastic Beasts or whatever, the Harry Potter spinoff, uh, Redmayne, is that his name? I don't know. I don't know my actor, but him, just because he plays the awkward, unassuming sort of person, he'd be perfect. He would be the perfect Anthony.
See, I was thinking Adam Tickle. Let me share my screen. Let me show you who I'm talking about. Maybe you can agree to disagree. This is who I envision in my head to play Anthony.
Al, he's a little too old, but yes, he would be perfect.
A younger
version. Yeah, a younger version. Yeah, he'd be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in Firefly. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
If you said the pilot from Firefly, I'd know immediately. I can't say his name, of Alan somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's who I envisioned in my head.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
I think he would do. I think he's an underrated, very underrated actor, and I've never seen Firefly. I hear it's good.
It's good. I mean, nothing will beat Farscape. That's the best sci-fi. That or Babylon 5. But don't watch Babylon 5 because there's a lot of Babylon 5 in Proxima Station because I love the series and they have some humor here. So a lot of that is bled into the pages. So yeah, don't watch that. Just tell me I'm amazing for coming up with all these ideas, and just don't watch Babylon 5. And there's JCM Byrne. We were talking about puns and dad jokes, and you came.
It started tingling. He knew. Yeah, he the great Joe Byrne agrees that he can. Alan can play anything. Eddie
Redmayne. Yeah, that's the guy from Fantastic Beasts and Wonderful Creatures or whatever the Harry Potter spinoff was.
Oh yeah. I recognize this guy. Yeah.
And don't listen to Joe when he tells you watch B5.
I've not
Don't.
seen Babylon 5. I don't know. Well, I might need to go through and check it out and give it a
I
try.
mean, it is 90s technology, so the graphics are 90s ish. But the first 4 seasons are amazing. Best 4 seasons any show ever. Season 5 is dreadful. Just don't even like, okay, it ends in season 4. That's good. Don't even watch season 5. And Cena agrees with me.
Yep. No, she says Babylon 5 is her favorite TV show of all times.
Yep.
Of all times. It's the best. So I need to go through and check it out. I need to watch, I need to add a new show onto my repetition. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I have to be like, is this actually good? Because I do a lot of reading. And if I'm not reading, I'm going to watch a show and it's like, oh, this is 50 seasons you need to go through and watch. And then you got to watch the spinoff to really understand the story. I'm not going to get into it. I can't do it.
No, B5 is 4 seasons. There's a couple movies you can watch or not. I will tell you, if you're going to watch it, the Umbras, which is Shadow, and the Irati, which is Calliope, they are based off of what are they? The Peacock people, Londo and the Narns. They two things. They're always fighting each other. So that's kind. I was like, you know what? That's kind of how my dogs were. I'm going to model these after them. So you will see you watch it, you're like, yeah, that seems vaguely familiar because I stole so much from Babylon 5. I mean, it's a space station with different races. There are 5 races in the council.
You took inspiration. Inspiration. I love it. So you've written in sci-fi, fantasy. Is there any other genre that you've written in, maybe that not published, or maybe that I'm not aware of?
I've written both kinds. The all 2 kinds of fiction that you can write. No, I don't like horror. I've read a couple horror, and I really regret that. I read Molly McCobb's Dark Bloom, which is horror with a side of romantasy, and I really hate both of those. It's well written, but it's so not for me. So not for me. But yeah, no, pretty much fantasy, sci-fi. I was totaling up, there are 35 books total that I want to publish. I have my second fantasy series I want to go back to and write that, and then Britannia I have to finish, then Haley Traveler, and now Proxima. So between those 4, there are 35. Half of them are novellas, but I'm like, okay, I'm 54. I'll be 55 in a couple months. If I've written 6 out of 35, let's not start another series.
But the amount of books you're throwing out, throwing 3 books a year.
I mean, as long as I'm writing these, I will probably get 1 or 2 of these out a year because they're quick, they're easy. Like I said, I know my dogs, and I'm like, what really sets them off? Let's have that happen to them. And no one else knows that but me, so they'll say I'm wildly creative when I'm really just like, I'm tormenting my dead dogs.
Oh my goodness. All right, so we want to stick with sci-fi fantasy. Is there any themes or any styles you haven't explored yet that you would like to go through and check out, or curious to try in future works?
I don't know if I want to say it out loud with Tim watching, but I would like to write third person omniscient, or third person close third, or something other than first person present tense. Because when I started, I told people before, I read one article on the internet and they said kids today like first person present tense. And I'm like, well, why would I write for yesteryear? I'm going to write for today. So because I read that one article, I write first person present tense all the time. And I get so many people who tell me, write third person. And I'm like, I don't know how. I never have. I was never going to be a writer until Angela. It's like I have one trick. Don't make me learn something else. So, but sooner or later, I'm going to write something third person. I'll probably use an alias or a pen name, and I'll probably get some editor other than Roe to edit it, and I'll just put it out there, and just people be like, and it'll sink or swim, and no one will know it's mine.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a fantastic idea. Do you have a pen name you already thought of?
I do not.
Hmm.
And if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Oh,
Uh,
come on. Come on.
Samuel Clemens.
Samuel Clemens. All right. Keep an eye out for the first Samuel Clemens books to come out. Oh, man. So, for you, Mike, at this part of your career, what does success look like for you?
So actually, last Thanksgiving, I kind of had an epiphany, and I was like, you know what? I'm going at the point where 2 years from now I should be retired. Um, and I don't need money, so I don't need this to be, I don't need a Netflix series. And I was like, so okay, if I'm not, financially is not driving me. I was like, I want to write stories that people like, which I think I have limited success at that now. And I was like, you know what, I just want to try to promote indie authors. So I'm like, you know what, I can be a cheerleader. I can root for other people, and if Joe Byrne gets to book 27 in the hybrid helix, the 27th turn, go Joe. I can root, and I can, and it just, there's no jealousy. There's, it's just like, go for it. You do it. GJ Terrell did his first event. I'm like, I hope you sell out. I hope you sell all the books. I hope it's a Netflix series. And you know what? If it happens, great. Just because then I'll say, hey, we interviewed this guy. You can go back on our channel. You can see it. And I'm old. I'm crotchety, and I don't care. So I just want indies to succeed, and I rising tide. My books will rise with them. So really, I mean, it's kind of a goody two shoes sort of answer, but really, honestly, I'm like, if I don't, ever become a household name, I'm good with that. I kind of don't want to be. So
Love it.
I always tell people Timothy Zahn is like the perfect level of famous. Because I've been to a couple of Comic Cons he goes to, and he charges like $25 for his autograph, and there's always a line of people who want it. But if you saw him on the street, you wouldn't know who he was. You'd walk right past him. I'm like, that's the level I want to be. That people will pay for something of mine, but they'll never recognize me on the street, and they'll leave me alone. That's what that'd be as high as I want to go. I do not want name recognition, but not face recognition. That's what I want.
I know the name Timothy Zahn. I've not read any of his books, and I have no idea what the guy looks like. I just googled him. I'm like, I would have not like I could have seen him at the gas station and had no idea.
Yeah,
It's like no idea
yeah.
who this person is.
So he wrote the books 7, 8, and 9 for the Star Wars trilogy that were
Mhm.
actually pretty good. So of course they said, we're not going to use those. We're going to put the crap out instead. So yeah, the Thrawn trilogy. So yeah, those are actually really good books, but completely, they're like, no, no, we can't use that. That's interesting.
These are actually good. We're not doing that. That's so funny. No, I need to check it. I've been wanting to get into the Star Wars books to go through and read, but there's so many, and I try to
Yeah.
talk to people like that have like Star Wars channels, and I go, help me. Which one should I start with? And they go, I have a video for that. And I'm like, that doesn't help me. Just tell me where to start reading. I was like, I don't want to search your videos. Just tell me where to start, please. And I haven't had anyone. I talked to like 3 different people, and I'm like, you guys are not helping me right now.
So the only 3 that I read were the 3 by him, and that's because everybody knows New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. So then those just take off right from there. So I read those. They were great. Loved them. Entertaining. So I would say those, and I would say don't read anything else because it's Star Wars and who cares. Um,
Awesome. I will check those out. Just by Timothy Zahn, just those 3. No other Star Wars books exist, so that's good.
well, that's all I've read. So I can't tell you anymore. But now, if you want to know Dragonlance or Forgotten Realms books, I can point you to some. I read, God, a couple hundred of each of those.
So, from your perspective, what kind of reader do you think would resonate most with your story?
Um, I mean, I am undiagnosed as ADHD. I'm pretty sure. So I'm never going to have 40 pages to develop a personality. I'm like, it's been 5 pages. I have to break something. Something has to explode. Something. So when I start writing, I get bored. I'm like, okay, something has to happen. There has to be a fight. My main characters break an insane number of limbs throughout the books because I'm like, well, I don't want to kill him, and I can't slow him down too much. So I guess it's an arm this time, not a leg. Um, and my nephew is actually a medical doctor, so I'm like, okay, Johnny, here's the thing. This guy has to crawl like 60 feet, and he has to be, it's in the snow, and I want there to be a trail of blood the whole way, but he can't die, so he can't bleed out, but he can't walk, so he has to crawl. Where does he have to get cut? And he's like, I'm a doctor, right? We try to help people, not injure them. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Hippocratic, got it. Yeah. Now where does he get cut? Um, and so I always thank him in all my acknowledgments because he's always like, we try to heal people, right? I'm like, yeah, that's not what I need you for. So yeah, I'm always doing. I'm like, okay, he can't die, but it needs to be pretty painful, but it needs to go away in a couple chapters.
I need to hurt them pretty bad, but don't kill them, and they don't want to lose any body parts. So, like, I need them to be good and be. It's so funny.
Yeah. He might need that left hand later on, so he can't lose it. I mean, he can lose function of it for a while. Put in a splint, maybe. Use some magic potion to get it all better. But I need something here. He has to feel some pain.
So, for those like myself, who's gone through and read this book, do you have any other book recommendations or authors you would go through and recommend for us that are looking for that itch that while we're waiting on book 2 to come out later on this year? You mentioned The Expanse, which I have that written down. I'm just curious, are there any other stories you're like, hey, if you like this, go check out these authors or stories as well?
For Proxima Station,
mm-hmm.
Well, there's not a lot. I will tell you that Proxima Station got up to like 200 in humorous sci-fi in pre-orders when it had like 6 pre-orders in one day. So, I mean, there's not a lot of things in that category. Dewey Conway, he read, and he's like, Mike, this is like Star Trek meets Hitchhiker's Guide meets Monty Python. And I'm like, oh my God, those pedestals, they're so hard. I'm like, I would never say that about my books. That really sounds, but I mean, it's kind of silly. It's meant to be. I don't know. I mean, Dave is funny. I can't think of something else. JCM no, James, Joe, do not put your books in that category. My God, you'll have 1 through 7.
Oh my goodness, so funny. All right. Be nice to me. I've already read his book. Being nice, man. Being nice. And just, get some other recommendations. While I'm waiting on his next book, you're so mean to me. Oh, I didn't know Janny jumped in. How's it going, Janny?
Oh yeah, I saw that, and I've been on my best behavior ever since.
Oh, I missed it. Appreciate you dropping by. Oh my goodness, so funny. Oh, I feel judged. I feel judged with my last question. I feel judged, man. Oh man. I wanted some other recommendations. I didn't know if you had like some, I got you. This is the next book. If you have any recommendations, you need to read this one right here.
So I will tell you, this one, I've had 4 people now tell me that this reminds them of Red Rising. I hate Red Rising. I hate it. And I've had 4 people tell me now that my book reminds them. They said it's like Darrow, except he's likable, my character. And I'm like, I probably need to give Red Rising more of a chance. I probably cut it off too early because I'm very quick to DNF something. So I need to go, because I literally have 4 people tell me it's like Red Rising, and I'm like, stop saying that. So I have to go back and listen to it just to listen all the way through and just to see if they're eating mushrooms they shouldn't, or if it really has some similarity.
I will read this. So to be honest, I didn't start reading until 2020. I started reading only 5 years ago. Brand new, just learned how to read. And Red Rising was the first book that I picked up and read. So I enjoy it just because it was my lead into reading other books. So I read that book, was like, wow, this book, why is no one talking about this book? This is actually a good book. And then I started reading other books, and then it's just like blown up, and then this is where we are now. And I just constantly read now. So yeah, Red Rising, it has a place in my heart, but I get why people don't like it. I get it. Realistically, I understand.
So I'm going to have to buckle down and actually, listen to that since I have it on audiobook, and just I have to, since people keep telling me my book is like that, and I'm like, but I like my book. I don't like that. So I have to see if, again, people are just consuming mushrooms they shouldn't, or if there's something there. Um,
So what I can tell you is book two, everything gets better after the first book.
that's what I've heard.
So it
And the
does
second
get,
trilogy is terrible.
yeah. The first one's pretty, it's pretty different compared to the rest of the book, but it's good. It's good stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, highly recommend checking out. All right, last question for you, Mike. What are you currently reading right now? What is, when you're not writing or being an awesome interviewer on Bald and Balding, what are you reading?
I am. Well, I don't really read a lot. I listen a lot. So
What are you listening to?
Iceborne. It's by Adam Fernandez. It's in the Vermilion Flames series. It's a standalone. Vermilion Flames was awesome. The second one is Ashes is in there. I forget, but I love. It's a sweeping space opera. It's every planet in the solar system has been colonized. There's the Duke of Mercury and the King of Mars, and Earth is a wasteland. It's I love his writing. It's not hard sci-fi, which I generally gravitate more towards. Let's obey the rules of physics here. It's he doesn't care, and it's just great. And of course, Wistful Sending. If you haven't read that, then you need to read that because that's hysterical. Actually, that would probably be, if you like dad jokes and puns. Wistful Sending and Space Bears that sound like Russians. Get the audiobook, do Wistful Sending, and then pressure Joe to put the rest of his books on audiobook too.
So I just finished Wistful Sending, and I'm very disappointed in myself that I did not start that book sooner. It was so good, a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm excited to continue that series and doing a little plug, and then I'll let you do a plug. His first three books are free. Book 1, 2, and 3 of Joe's series is free on Amazon right now. You're welcome. Ebooks though, ebooks.
Awesome.
Go get them. Go get them. All right. Oh, two more coming this year. There we go.
Okay. Good man. Good man.
All right. One question from Cena. I don't know what Dalazir is. Have you read?
I have not heard of it, but I'm going to look it up here after we're done. I mean, anyone who says that B5 is their all-time favorite show knows what they're talking about, so I have to check that out.
I have it here. Cena, I'm going to add this to my list of to go through and check out. Those covers look cool. Those covers look real cool. So awesome. All right. Well, Mike, I really do appreciate you jumping on. How can people go through and find you and support you?
If you go to my Linktree, which is Mike.Mollman at Linktree, you'll find every link there is. I'm on Twitter. I have an Instagram account that I check every so often. I got rid of my website. I just use Substack, so it's author Mike Mollman at Substack.com, where I review books. I'm about 6 behind now that I have to write reviews for. But yeah, that's where you can find me. My books are on Amazon. If you want the book, for a special, the hardbacks are $15 and the paperbacks are $10, probably for the rest of the month, and then they're going to probably go up. But since they just got published, I figure I would go ahead and reduce the price and get more people to buy it, hopefully. And Cena has already bought a copy. She's the first one to actually buy a copy of the book. So hardbacks have come in, Cena. I can ship them out to you now. So, and if you're going to be at Worldcon, I'm going to bring some there too. So
That's awesome. I'm so jealous. I hear so many people are going. Like, I really want to go through and go, but I just can't this year. You know, my kid's having a birthday party. I'm just kidding. I have to go. My kid decided to be born that day. Like, all right. Like, I was like, can we push it back by a week? And she said no. So the boss said no.
How old are? What's the age range of your kids?
So it's 6 and getting ready to turn 3.
Nice.
So the 3-year-old, I'm like, he's not going to remember, but you know, I got to go.
So yeah, I'm excited to be there. I'll be bringing paperbacks Proxima Station for the freebie lounge. No, have some hardbacks if I meet you, and I'll give out to certain people who I need to, like Trinity Cunningham, who I put in the book, and Tim Wolf is getting one sent to him because he is the lamest antagonist ever, and I feel bad for him. So.
All right. Well, Mike, again, I appreciate you coming on. I really needed this conversation today. It's been a rough few days, but I had a lot of fun going through and talking with you. I'll have all the people that joined in the chat. I really do appreciate all of you. Literally, my face hurts from laughing so hard. You guys are all amazing people, and thank you so much for watching. Hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their day, and until next time, everyone have a fantastic day.